Radhe Radhe, everyone. In the last couple of days, I addressed a couple of questions. The first was the purpose of life, and we saw that Hinduism teaches us the attainment of perfect happiness. In other words, the attainment of God is the aim of all souls. And even within the divine realm, there are three main categories of divine bliss or divine happiness: Brahmanand, Aishwaryanand, and Premanand. And Premanand, the bliss one receives by taking part in the Leelas of Radha and Krishna, that is the highest form of divine bliss. So that is the ultimate goal that a soul could have. Everybody has the same goal. People don't have different goals depending upon their personality. They may approach the attainment of their goal differently according to their personality, but we all have the same goal: happiness, divine happiness, God, Premanand. Yesterday I explained another topic that people often wonder about, which is it logical to have faith in God when we've never seen Him? So I explained that actually faith is even part of the scientific process, because you have to have faith in what your teachers teach you. Every scientist takes his teacher's word for everything in the beginning and later develops the ability to perform his or her own experiments and get the proof for themselves. But initially, the principles and the concepts have to be accepted on faith, even in science. You get the proof later. So in devotion, it's the same thing. The proof of God's existence comes when we have faith based on the teachings of the scriptures and saints. We call that testimonial proof, Shabda Praman. So based on that, we have an initial faith that allows us to begin practicing devotion to God. And as we practice, we start experiencing God. And in the end, we meet God face to face. We get the ultimate proof, Pratyaksh Praman. Taking this same topic, we can understand a little bit more about the relationship between one's material life and their spiritual life. We are two. We are both a spiritual being and a material being. We have a divine soul, or I should say we are divine souls, all of us. So our real identity is that we are a spiritual being. But we also inhabit a material body. That body is an important part of our life. We wouldn't have life without it. Without a body and senses and a mind, which are all material, by the way, they're all made of Maya. Without those things, the divine soul can't experience anything, can't do anything, think anything, know anything. So the material part of our personality is not our true self, but it's still an important part of who we are. Sometimes people get confused about the relationship between these two. There are some who take it to the extreme on the material side, and there are some who take it to the extreme on the spiritual side, and either way is going to create a problem. Our teacher, our Guruji, Shri Kripaluji Maharaj, had a way which no one else could do of reconciling such dilemmas like the one I'm going to present to you today. There are people in the world who say, we don't need God. Science is so great. Eventually, science is going to solve everything. Science will defeat death. We'll be able to live forever with advances in the medical field. We'll be able to have enough food for everybody. No one will starve. Everybody will have whatever they need. So what's the need of God? Human beings' intellect is so great, we can solve all the problems and we can achieve perfect happiness just on the basis of science. And on the other hand, you have some people who say, no, God is perfect happiness. Only by attaining God will you attain perfect happiness, and I don't need anything from this world. Family, job, possessions, food, water, I don't need any of it. All I need is the name of Radharani, or to do devotion. So you have these two extreme views. Let's first of all understand how the extreme view in either case is incorrect, but that a reconciled, there's a way of incorporating both into each other, which is more practical and healthy as far as living your life in the world. So first of all, the first view of the materialist, the Bhautikvadi, who thinks that our intellect can solve everything and we can find perfect happiness through science and worldly pleasures. This is also classified as Charvak Siddhant. Yavad jivet sukham jivet irinam kritva ghritam pivet bhasmi bhutasya dehasya punaragamanam kutah. This philosophy was summed up in this shlok by Charvak, where he says he's giving instructions for how to live according to his philosophy. He says, for as long as you live happily. Do whatever you have to enjoy yourself. Borrow if you have to. Steal if you have to. Eat, drink, and be merry. In fact, he says, Ghritam pivet, drink ghee. In other words, live a full life. Because after this, there's nothing. This talk of soul and God, it's nothing. You are the body. And when your body finishes, you are finished. There's nothing after the death of the physical body. Bhasmi bhutasya dehasya. You turn to ashes when you're cremated, and that's the end of you. Punaragamanam kutaha. He says, what is this talk of coming again, reincarnating, getting future lives? There's no such thing. When your body is dead, you're dead. In other words, don't worry about karma. Karma means whatever you do in this life, you'll get the reward or punishment in your next life. You may even have to go to Swarg or Narak. Don't worry about that. There is no next life. There's no God who's going to punish you or reward you, and there's no one keeping track of your karma. Just do whatever you want to and enjoy life. This is Charvak Siddhant. And there are plenty of people in the world living like this. Is there any problem with this, aside from the obvious lack of incentive to be a good person? Even aside from that, there are problems. We learned on the very first day that worldly things, Mayic things, cannot give our soul happiness. We learned that true happiness must be unlimited, everlasting, and ever increasing. And that no such happiness exists in any person or anything in this world. That happiness is God. And since we are divine beings, that's a fact, it's not a speculation. We are souls, even though we can't see our soul, we can't perceive our soul, for the same reason we can't perceive God, like we learned yesterday, because our senses and mind are material. Yet, we are divine beings. So no amount of worldly comfort, pleasure, or entertainment can make a person truly happy. So even if we assume that one day science is going to make it so that everybody in this world has enough to eat, and not just enough to eat, but whatever they want to eat, whenever they want to eat it, and everybody has all the entertainments at their fingertips, anything anyone wants to do or enjoy in this world, they have it. And science has conquered death, so we can live forever. Even then, you won't find a single happy person in this world. Yatva prithivyaridam hi. Even if someone were given, King Yayati is saying in the Bhagavatam, even if someone were given all the wealth and pleasures of this world, even then he wouldn't be happy. Yadva prithivyaridam hi. He says, tasmat, therefore leave it. He's saying for himself, I'm through with all of this. He tried for 1,000 years to satisfy his desire for happiness by enjoying worldly pleasures. And he was the emperor of the entire earth. So he literally had everything at his disposal. And he still failed to satisfy his desire to be happy through these worldly pleasures. So even if we gave everybody in this world the status of emperor of the world, or go beyond that, emperor of the universe, give them everything and every Brahmand in the whole universe, not a single person would be happy, because those are all material pleasures. Material pleasures are received through the 5 senses, and that sensual input is processed by the mind, and the mind feels an excitement. But that excitement is not passed on to the soul. How could a material excitement reach the soul? The soul is divine. No material stimulus can reach our Atma. Only God can pacify and rejoice our soul. So a bhautikvadi is always going to be dissatisfied. They're always going to feel incomplete, like something is missing. On top of that, even if science is advancing to that extent, what guarantee is there that we're going to make proper use of it? Up until now, every scientific advancement, even if the intention of the scientist who developed it was for good, for it to be used for good, every single scientific advancement has also been used for bad. Because science can't cure this. This machine in here, our antahkaran, this can only be cleaned by remembrance of God. Bringing God in our mind purifies our mind, and then we can make use of technology wisely and in a sattvic way. Otherwise, if our mind is impure, it's like giving a gun to a child. Who knows what that child will do with that weapon? Science has no method of purifying the human heart. Only bhakti can do that, only by bringing God in our heart. So the bhautikvadi is left with several problems. 1, he will never find perfect happiness. 2, the misuse of all of that technology will be rampant, because the minds of people will be impure if they don't do devotion to God. What about the Adhyatmavadi? The Adhyatmavadi, who takes it to an extreme, says, there's no happiness in the world, so what need do I have for this world? There may even be someone you know who is a great devotee, but doesn't pay any attention to maintaining harmony amongst those that they live with. Is careless at work or careless in school. Doesn't care for their physical body with exercise, rest, and proper healthy food. Such a person will not be successful in their spiritual endeavor. They have set the goal correctly. They've understood the goal is to attain God, and they've also understood the core practice of the path is to do devotion to God and dedicate one's mind and activities to following that path, but they made one mistake. They forgot that this body is the means of attaining God. Sharir madhyam khalu dharma sadhanam. This body is the means of doing sadhana. Without the body, tan binu bhajan veda nahi barana. Without the body, no one can do bhajan. So even the one who has made God the goal of this life, 100%, they have no worldly ambitions. Even that person has to live in the world. Even if they're living in an ashram and they're away from family duties and responsibilities, they still have a certain amount of integration that they have to do because they're still inhabiting a material body. And their body will punish them. Nature will punish them if they don't obey the laws of nature, which is that this body needs a certain amount of calories and protein and vitamins and minerals. If they don't obey those laws, their body is going to punish them. They'll suffer illnesses that weren't even in their destiny. They just arose out of bad habits. And then once the body is ill, it becomes much more difficult to do devotion because all of our attention goes towards healing our body. Instead of getting to do seva, we have to keep visiting the doctor and taking care of our health more than we otherwise would have had to. One time, Gautam Buddha was sitting, and for many days he hadn't eaten anything, and he was trying to meditate. And as he was sitting there, some ladies came walking by, and they were just some simple village ladies, but as they walked, they sang a song which ended up being instructive to him. They were saying in the song, the words of the song said that you shouldn't over-tighten the strings of a tanpura. Otherwise, those strings may snap when you try to play it. But the strings also can't be too loose, otherwise no sound will come out. So they have to be tightened to just the right amount. And then he understood, oh, here I am sitting trying to meditate. I haven't eaten in days. In other words, I'm ignoring the needs of my body, and now I feel dizzy and weak, and it's disturbing my meditation. So I need to find a balance where I'm caring for my body with the intention of using my body for my sadhana. In other words, we can't ignore the needs of our body. Shri Krishna gave the same instructions to Arjuna in the Gita. Natyashnatastu yogosti nachaikantamanashnatah nachati swapnashilasya jagrato naivacharjuna yuktahar viharasya yuktacheshtasya karmasu yuktasvapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkhaha. Arjun, this path of devotion is effective at removing one's material sufferings and resulting in the attainment of divine bliss, if one leads a balanced life, if one lives wisely in the world. He says, yuktahar. You have to eat wisely. Don't eat too little, don't eat too much. Eat just enough for your body to keep it healthy. Yukta cheshtasya karmasu. Your activities should also be in balance. You can't not do anything, but you shouldn't be ambitious in the world either. You have to save your energy for devotion, but do what is required. Yukta swapna vabodhasya. This path, Arjun, is not effective for someone who sleeps too much or for someone who sleeps too little. You should sleep just the right amount. So your behavior needs to be disciplined and balanced. Your eating and sleeping and exercising habits have to be healthy. Only then this path will be effective. So we have to complement our spiritual practice by also taking care of the physical side of our existence. It's true that the material part of our existence is not our ultimate goal. Even if we could attain perfect health of our body, that wouldn't result in perfect happiness. So we know that material existence is never going to provide us ultimate happiness, yet it's still required for our journey towards ultimate happiness, and we can't ignore that fact. So we see that the extreme case of either adhyatmavad, where the adhyatmavadi says, I have no need for this material world, that is ineffective. It's not going to result in what they want to get, which is real happiness. And the extreme case of the bhautikvadi, saying that I have no need for God or soul or any of this spiritual philosophy, that's not going to result in him attaining what he wants either, which is also happiness. So even if someone is living in an ashram, they still have to care for their physical existence. And someone who's living in the world, who's following the path of devotion, they can be an adhyatmavadi, but they also still have to think about, what do I have to do to maintain harmony in my family, in my work life? A certain amount of effort has to be put in there as well. You can't just ignore it totally and expect everything to keep going along smoothly. You have certain duties and responsibilities, and those have to be observed. Again, not with any kind of idea that doing your aparadharma, observing your duties related to your material life, you're not doing that with any kind of intention that that's going to result in ultimate happiness. It's not. But it's still a requirement for your physical living in this world. To take care of your duties, whether that be school, education, work, family, whatever it may be, you have to take care of that properly. See, our mind does not compartmentalize. Like, I'm going to be lazy at work, but very careful in Rup Dhyan. It doesn't work. When you're being lazy at work or you're being lazy in your schoolwork, you're developing that lazy quality in your mind. So of course it's going to influence your devotion. If you want to be focused and determined and energetic in devotion, you have to also use those qualities and strengthen those qualities in other aspects of your life, because your mind doesn't go on vacation during that time that you're doing work or school or those things. It's not like, oh, whatever I do now doesn't matter. This is all like a timeout. No, it's all adding up. It's all counting. So if we're polluting our mind by being lazy and careless, that is definitely going to affect our devotion. Therefore, we have to do whatever we do well, to the best of our ability, even if it's keeping our room clean, washing the dishes. It all helps maintain a sattvic state of mind, which supports devotion. So the way that Shri Kripaluji Maharaj says to reconcile these views, just take this one perspective. Our goal is God, and we are spiritual beings, but we're inhabiting a physical body, a material body, which is the means of doing devotion to attain our ultimate goal. So this world is for supporting our body, which is the means of practicing devotion to attain God. God is for our soul, and the world is for our body. But we need both God and the world at this stage. Eventually, we won't need the world when we're God realized. But at this stage, we have a soul and a material body. Therefore, we need God and we need the material world. It's simple when you look at it that way. The world is important, but it is not meant to be a source of happiness. It was not created for that reason. It was created for us to maintain our body by making use of the world. We're meant to make use of the world, not indulge in worldly things through our senses. As Shri Maharaj Ji said, "Yah sansar hamare upayog ke liye hai, hamare upabhog ke liye nahi." He also said, "Hum do hamare do," which was a slogan in India years ago. He repurposed it for spiritual understanding. Hum do means I am two. I am a divine soul and I'm a material body. Hamare do, I have two things that belong to me. One is God, who belongs to my soul, and one is the world that belongs to my body. Both are important. Neither can be ignored if someone wants to attain ultimate happiness. This is all beautifully summed up in the words of Sugriv to his Banar Sena, to all the warriors who are ready to go out and fight on behalf of Lord Ram. He was giving them a motivational speech before they went to war against Ravan. And he said, "Deh dhare kar yah phal bhai, bhajiya Ram sab kaam bihai." He says the whole purpose of taking this material body is so that we can serve Lord Ram, do devotion to Lord Ram. So don't be concerned if you lose your body in this quest. Actually, at that time, they were going out looking for Mother Sita. So he said, don't be concerned if you lose your life in this quest to find Mother Sita. That's what this body was for in the first place, was to worship Bhagwan Ram, serve Bhagwan Ram. So if we just keep these words in our mind, we can also incorporate spirituality into our material living, infuse devotion into our material living by operating with this perspective that this whole world is not to make me happy. This world is here to support my body, so I need to make use of it, always with the intention in my mind that all of my activities are to support my devotion to God, because practicing devotion and attaining God is the ultimate goal of my life. Boliye Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki. So tomorrow, we have 4 days left in this series, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So there are 4 more questions I'll be taking up. In the next couple of days, I'll be covering these 2 questions. Number one, are all religions the same? And number two, in Hinduism, why do we have so many forms of God described? These are two questions I hear very often from people, and we actually have the information to clearly understand the answers to these questions. So we'll discuss that in the next couple of days. We'll take the